Hey everybody, this is Cudby, and we are starting our webinar where we're going to be talking about your buying strategy for Curvexpo. Now, what I'd like to do before we get started is just make sure that, let me enable the chat box here. And you should see a chat box. If you can just let me know that you see the chat box and just put a yes in the chat box that you see it and that you can hear me. So let's start with the basics of the housekeeping here. Can you see me, and can you hear me? And let's just start there. So I will wait to see how we're doing here. Hopefully you guys can see me and hear me. This is always the interesting beginning where I make sure that this is all working according to plan. So far so good. Sounds like you guys can see and hear me. Awesome. So now that we have that fun technicality out of the way, we can get started. So I'm Cudby. I'm here on behalf of Curvexpo and bringing you some strategies and some things to think about in advance of the trade show so that you can get your buying strategy to the optimum point so that when you hit the show, you are just ready to sort of fire on all cylinders on behalf of your business. And you know, the folks at Curve recognize how much value there is for you all when you can sort of have the best possible experience. And so they asked me to come in and share a couple of these strategies with you. So what we're going to do over the course of around the next hour is I'm going to share some things to think about and some ways to think through your past data as a predictor of what you might want in the future, so that as you start the buying process for fall winter 15-16, you enter the show with everything top of mind and, as my husband would say, tickety-boo. So the way that this all works in Google Hangouts, in case this is the first time you've seen me, is I'm going to turn my screen over to a screen share so that you can see a presentation in a minute, so you don't get to look at my pretty mug the entire time. And in the meantime, feel free to think about any questions that you have, and you can throw them in the chat box anytime. So, I'll try to be keeping an eye on the questions that come in through the chat box. I may not have a chance to answer them midstream, but you will definitely have an opportunity to ask questions at the end, and I'll do my best to get through all of them. So without further ado, let us talk about our subject of the day, which is your buying strategy for the Curvexpo show. So I'm going to go ahead and screen share here. So now you should be seeing my presentation. Oops. Okay, so now you should be seeing the presentation that says your buying strategy. Can you just give me a quick yes in the window if you can see that there's a PowerPoint presentation up here, and we're going to talk about that. So give me a quick woohoo in the window, and just make sure that you can see my screen and that you're not seeing me anymore, although I know that you're very sad not to be able to see me anymore. I'm just going to go ahead and assume that you can see the presentation. All right. So just a little bit about me. I think that most of you all know me as the head of the FabFit Academy, which is the online bra fit training and certification program that's geared toward professionals. And that's one of the things that most people know about me. But the reason that the folks at Curve asked me to do this is that I do a lot of work with retailers from around the country. Hopefully, actually, this will make this a little bit bigger for you. But this So if you can see it better now, that's great. It means that I actually cannot see any questions. So I'm going to have to fly blind in order to make this bigger for you guys. So hopefully this is better. So one of the things that I do with retailers is I really help them through the mentoring process so that they can build their business and take it to the next level, so that their customers buy more often, spend more each time, and increase their word of mouth. And these three things, when taken together, are really the core of building a business. And one of the things that I hear most from retailers as they go through the process of their business is that they want to grow, but they have an inventory problem. I hear a lot that people have, I have this inventory problem. And what I have found is that, and that when people buy more often, spend more each time, and increase their word of mouth, they get these massive results. And that's sort of the work that I do. But I do hear that there's this inventory problem. So inventory problems are usually indicative of something else. And so while there is absolutely an art to having an understanding of what kind of inventory you want to have in your business, what it often boils down to is when businesses don't know who they are. They sort of try to be all things to all people, or they speak in a muddied voice in the marketplace. And so that means that customers don't know who you are. You end up in a position where you aren't really serving their needs. And then the customers don't love their experience with you. And so, looking at these inventory situations as opportunities to learn and grow means that you end up in a better position as a business, and that you are going to be laser focused when people come into your store, because you're going to know exactly who you are, and that's going to allow you to speak very clearly to them and serve their needs, and they will love their experience with you. Because inventory really tells the story of your business. Knowing where you've been with your inventory and with your business is the best key to knowing where you're going. So in understanding the story of your business and understanding the story of your inventory and where things were in the buying season for like fall, winter 14, 15, what we're sort of just coming out of now, that's going to be the best way of figuring out where it is that you're going. So the way that you want to start to understand the story of your business is by looking back. So the first thing you want to do is break down your 2014 sales by brand and size. So think of, you want to be tracking everything that you sold. And then you want to be able to look at it across what brand sold and like break it down by brand and size. So, a lot of times if you have POS systems, they'll do these reports really easily for you. But what I actually hear from a lot of folks is that they have POS systems, but they're not set up in a way that allows them to actually pull this data out, or that they don't get used effectively. I'm going to talk about this with the expectation that you can pull this data. If your business is at a point where you can't easily pull this data, if you're not tracking your sales, then that's something that you need to do. That is sort of a fundamental activity of business, is to know what you're selling. And so so this is not going to be geared toward people. So if you don't have that capability today, then it's something that you need to figure out how to do for your business. But I'm not going to gear this particular conversation for people who, don't know how to track their sales. So when you are able to look at what sold through and, ideally what sold through at full price, then, first of all, when you go to each one of your vendor meetings, you can actually sit down and show them, this is what sold. This is what we did. And, that when you compare it to what you had, what you purchased, it's going to be an immediate indicator of what is working and what isn't with this brand in your business. And I talked to a couple of folks on the brand side of things before this webinar, and what they said is that it's really important for them to know that too. You want to be as strategic as possible with your meetings, but it's a two-way street, and the more you can help them, they can help you in terms of understanding exactly what's going on in your business. So after you've broken it down and you've looked at the reports across brand and size, what did you buy? It's really important to sort of go back and review, because you know what, a lot happens in your business between between then and now, and it's hard to remember even what's going on a couple of months ago, and things trickle in at different times. So what did you buy, and were there things that you bought that didn't deliver, and so did that create a hole for you? And that's an important thing to assess as well. What sold at full price, and what didn't move, and where's the gap? You really want to be able to identify exactly what the specific indicators are of something that is being marked down on a regular basis. So, and really understanding best what's selling at full price, what's moving quickly, and were there things that sold through so quickly that you actually left money on the table because you didn't end up with the inventory that you needed to be able to fulfill sales when they came in the door. So it's great to move inventory quickly, but if you're losing opportunities to sell because you don't have the inventory anymore, that's important to capture too. And that's actually trickier to capture, because it's easy to track a sale. It's not nearly as easy to track a not sale. So Cindy Kelly of CMK Distinctive Brands said, it's vital for us to get specific feedback on performance from specialty stores at shows. We need to know sell-through and what customers are saying about our products. This goes back to the two-way street. You're bringing them the information that is really critical for the specifics of your business. And while Cindy wants to get that information across all of the stores, you really need to laser target on what's working and not working for you. Louise Schultz, who's the general manager at Simone Perel, said, it's the brand's responsibility to understand each retail partner's sell-in. So we come to your meeting at Curve with those numbers in hand. When a retail partner brings their sellout data, it creates a complete picture of productivity and turn that enables us to work collaboratively and identify opportunities toward an even more efficient use of precious inventory dollars. At the end of the day, these brands are your partners in the business. And it is absolutely an opportunity to see this as a strategic session. And the best brands are going to know your business well enough that they're going to understand and edit their own collection, because they want you to have a really positive sell-through experience with them. It's not in their best interest to push product onto you that you can't ultimately sell, because they need you and want you to have a positive experience with the brand, and B, be in business for the long term. So let's look back at the categories against your sales. And so these are sort of some of the main categories that I thought about, bras, bottoms, shapewear, loungewear, sleep, accessories, swimwear, pleasure products, lingerie care, hosiery, cosmetics, and you may carry other items. So you ultimately would need to figure out, like, what do you actually sell? And sometimes even this activity of sort of seeing what sells, and then look at it as a percentage of your sales. What's actually selling across each one of these categories? Because it is a drain on your business. It is a cost to your business every time you bring in one additional vendor. In terms of your time, in terms of having to manage another vendor, in terms of having to figure out what's the right mix for your store. So you want to make sure that what you have in your store is producing for you. So then here's where it starts to get interesting. So you've broken down all of the categories, all of the main categories by percentage. Then you're going to go in and you're going to create subcategories for each one of the main categories. So for bras, you want to look and see, what are you selling in terms of full cup, balconette, demi, t-shirt, et cetera, all of the different styles of bra that you sell, so that you, again, really get a sense of what's doing best for you. So you've already looked at it by brand. Now you're looking at it by style. And again, trying to capture the data of what opportunities were left behind, and that's a little bit harder to capture. So you sort of have to make sure that you're jotting that down whenever somebody wants to buy something and you don't have it available. And this is to customize. This needs to be customized to your business. So, so if you are selling a bunch of different styles of bras, but I'm just going to make this up, you don't happen to sell demi-cup bras, well, that's not going to show up in your categorization. So you want to break down these subcategories, not according to these 4 bullet points here, but according to what it is that you actually sell in your store. So here are, here's another way of looking at that. So ultimately, you want to add as many categories as possible so that the totality of your sales, going through all of the different subcategories, full cup, balconette, demi, t-shirt, plunge, strapless, sport, et cetera, that's going to total 100%. And there's no particular, magic to how this gets shared, how this gets broken down. You have to figure out what makes the most sense for you and for your business. Then you want to take a look at how you did in terms of selling fashion versus basic, because fashion can be such a huge driver for a lot of businesses. This is really where, you can entice the repeat customers and the lingerie enthusiasts to be most active on behalf of your business. So, understanding what that split out is between fashion and basic, and ultimately, you get to decide how you're splitting those things out. And also things like bust size, seeing where your business lies. A lot of times what I hear is that, customers, they remember the outlier. I mean, not customers, people in the business remember the outliers most clearly. So they remember that, 32J customer that comes in much more than they'll remember all of the, 34E customers that come in. And so you want to get out of the habit of thinking anecdotally and into the habit of thinking about it from the perspective of actual data. So what are the categories that make the most sense for your business? And are there further categories that you should examine? This is really the opportunity that you have to explore your unique business and what you uniquely need. And you might need to cut and dice the data in a few different views to see what makes the most sense for your business. So bras are the most complex category. And for many of you, that's going to be the category where you make the majority of your revenue. So it makes sense to spend more time sort of figuring out how the bra category gets sliced and diced. But then you want to do the same thing for the bottoms category. Really see what's working and what isn't. So what's selling in terms of briefs, bikinis, thongs, boy shorts, shaping bottoms, seamless. However your business categorizes the different subcategories of bottoms, what do people actually buy? Because what people say they want and what people buy can oftentimes be different things. So what's actually selling? And then look for trends, by size, by color, whether or not people are buying the bottoms to a matching set, by brand, all of these things, they're easy to say, and pulling out that data can really be illuminating for the story of your store and what's going on with your business. Then I'm not going to go through all of these subcategories, but you basically want to go through each one of these subcategories and assess what happened looking backward. So, so in shapewear, these might be some of your categories with open bust, bodysuit, slip, cami, high waist, bike short. Again, looking for the trends by size. Are people doing more with color? Are you doing more in nude or maybe black? Are there certain brands, if you carry more than one brand, that's doing better than the other? All of these are clues that are going to go into your buying for the future. So now you're going to break down all of those other categories. So as I said earlier, POS systems can run a lot of these reports, but you don't have to have a POS system to get the information that you need. And I've seen a lot of businesses that do a great job tracking their data and knowing exactly what they sell through best without having a POS system. And I've also seen people who have a fancy POS system and then they don't use it optimally. And POS systems, like many other things in this world, they're kind of garbage in, garbage out. So if you don't input all of the information correctly when inventory comes in, which, sometimes when businesses get busy, that's something that slips through the cracks. Or if the business isn't running efficiently, then there's nobody whose job it is or whatever. And so, the product comes in and, it just doesn't get entered. And that can really have an impact on the information that you can get out. So, they're only as good as the information that you input and use. So now that you've done all of that analysis and looked back at 2000, fall, winter 14-15, which is, again, sort of where we're coming out of now, what have you learned from the assessment? What have you learned about your customer and what they like to buy? What sizes do best for you? What you're looking for is some stories about what works really well and you want to do more of, what's not working so well and you want to do less of. And, because past buying behavior is a great indicator of future sales. But it's only part of it, because another piece of it is going to be what's changing in your business. If you're making changes to your business, then you may know that you're going to need to grow. You may know that you are going to have a move. You may know that there's something going on that you need to take into account. So if you are actively moving toward a change in your business, that's also something you want to take into account. And also think about the business that you want to be. And is the past indicative of who you are going forward? So go through and reassess all of these categories. And think about, where do you want to apply more of your inventory dollars? Where do you want to take away? Are there categories that you want to add? Are there categories that you want to eliminate? At the end of the day, everybody has a finite number of inventory dollars that they have to allocate across all of these categories. And so going through each of them and understanding it at this category and subcategory and even more granular level, so that you're looking at things like fashion and basic and everything else. This is what tells you the story of your business, so that you can better understand how to apply your dollars moving forward. So that when you come to Curve, whether you go to the New York show or the Las Vegas show, you can go through the categories and ask yourself, what needs to change? Again, are there categories that you want to add to the business that you haven't been carrying before? Like, at this coming Curve, they're going to be introducing some great cosmetics brands, and maybe that's something that you want to add to your open to buy. Are there categories that haven't been performing as well for you? And even though you may have a couple customers that like them, it just doesn't make sense for your business anymore, and you just want to eliminate them. Maybe there are some subcategories that need to change around. And certainly there may be a reallocation of your subcategory dollars or of your fashion versus basic dollars. And then you definitely want to take a keen look at your size distribution and see what's actually selling. A lot of times stores want to be all things to all people, and they have to have a critical eye to make sure that the sizes that they're carrying are sizes that are selling. Or at least if they want to make sure that they have some toe in the water in sizes at the top of the bottom of the size distribution, that they're choosing responsibly for what will actually sell. At the end of the day, yes, we're a service or industry, we're providing a really valuable service to our community, and we're a business, and we need to make sure that our inventory dollars are working as hard as possible for the business. So looking at the shifts going forward, looking at the budget changes, looking at which brands are performing well and you want to allocate more dollars to them because they are just working for you, and which brands might need reassessment. There are always changes in brands, and if something isn't working as well for you, then you need to take a critical eye. I think it's really easy to just re-up with the same brands, but there are so many great new brands that are coming on the market, and in order to open up those open to buy dollars, you may need to make some room. And so being honest with yourself and with your vendors about what isn't working gives you the opportunity to freshen things up as well. And really, no reputable brand should want to be, forcing a relationship when it's not working in your store. So ultimately, but ultimately, yeah, they want to sell, and so you need to take responsibility for their business. It's absolutely fair to be respectful of the brand and what they do, and know your business and what you need. Those two things can absolutely work in concert. And then, what seasonal trends did you notice in your 14 sales that you want to shift to your inventory flow for 15? So, it's not necessarily the case that everybody sells equally across the whole year. So if you are realizing that January is a light month for you, then do you want to reallocate your monthly flow? And sometimes people have really big Christmas seasons, some people have slower Christmas seasons. What's going on in your business that might need some adjustment in terms of the shift of the inventory balance over the course of the year? In other words, what's your story? Inventory is the story of your business. And while this all sounds very number crunchy, it really does tell a story. When you see that you're selling more fashion demi cups, well, that says something about what your customer wants. And so so it's about not just tracking the numbers, but really turning it into something that speaks to you. So let's just say that you are seeing a bump in fashion demi cups. Well, that's somebody who is, that maybe that customer is wanting to have more fun with the things that you supply. And so, is that something that is translating into the rest of your business? If you're seeing that your business is growing, and you're all t-shirt, all beige t-shirt bras all the time, and that's the chunk of your business that's working best, then it's an opportunity to ask yourself, are the people who come into your business enjoying their time with you? Are they showing up with their fun dollars? Or are they just showing up with their necessary dollars? Because you can be leaving a lot of money on the table when you just have people who are seeing your business as, the thing they have to buy. And you're probably missing an opportunity to invite them into a much deeper relationship. So try to think beyond just the numbers into, what does this mean for your customers, and where's your opportunity? So if this seems overwhelming, and for some of you, if you don't have a POS system, or if you have a POS system that doesn't easily offer you these reports, then do something. Doing something is better than doing nothing. And cobbling together the information that you can access, even if it is anecdotal. Showing up at Curve and sitting down with your brand reps with as much information as you can is going to serve you and them better. And even if you cannot do that minimum of knowing sell-through by brand today, then make a promise to yourself that this is something that you're going to do going forward, so that you can be the most effective possible at knowing your brand. It is really hard to know what's happening in your business without the actual data, because you are going to be swayed. The memory is not reliable. You also want to make sure that, things are not, there are many reasons why, having that data is really valuable, to know what's selling at full price, to know what's selling at a discount, and to know what's walking out the door and you don't know about it. So again, I want to go back to what I said in the beginning. If you think that you have an inventory problem, it's generally not an actual inventory problem. It's generally not a technical problem as much as it is the challenge of knowing your own business and maximizing your opportunities to grow. Knowing who you are, making sure that who you are is spoken extremely clearly to your customers, making sure that you're serving their needs and that they are loving their experience with you. When you are firing on all four of those points, then your business will take off. So if any of this seems challenging or overwhelming or something that you want some additional help with, you're welcome to email me. Happy to talk to you guys, and happy to take questions. I'm going to exit the screen share now and go back to, you guys can see me. Hold on. Hi, sorry, I think that you might have lost me for a minute. Sorry, I think that there was a little bit of a technical difficulty for a moment there. So, anyway, hopefully you guys can all still see me and that this is all still working. This is the beauty of technology, is that sometimes it works better than others. And the interesting challenge is that I have now lost my ability to see questions. Hold on. Sorry. All right, so I was absolutely intending to take questions, but I apparently can't. Oh wait, hold on. It's coming back now. Oh, no, it's not. All right. So unfortunately, I can't take questions because the app just did something unfortunate. But you are welcome to email me at Allie@fabfoundations.com, and I'd be more than happy to get back to you. Unfortunately, these technical difficulties sometimes happen. So here, I'll put my email back up on the line, up on the screen here, so that you can see it. I hope that this was helpful. I really was psyched to take questions and engage with you guys directly. If you email me your questions, I will incorporate them into a future article with the folks from Curve, and we'll post that through them at the website. I'm so sorry. I feel terrible about this. Okay, so so if you have questions, email me. Here is my email address again. And thank you so much for being here. And I apologize for the technical difficulty here. And I guess that's it. So thank you again, and we'll do this again next month, and hopefully we'll have the glitch worked out. So thank you for being here. Bye.